Good news, everyone. You've just stumbled onto KRQE's Good News Special. I'm Annalisa Pardo. For the next half hour, we'll be taking a look back at some of this year's most uplifting stories from across our state. First up, an Albuquerque teen has taken her love of the South Valley to the international stage. News 13's Gabe Chavez sat down with her back in October and has her story.
Be loud when you tell your story.
Words from a girl looking to make a change. This is Cheyenne Anderson, a 17-year-old we brought you before.
My hope for this book is so that every kid out there is seen.
She is the creator of the book South Valley, showcasing the beauty and the poetry of the area. And her story has garnered the attention of none other than the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden.
I wasn't really expecting it, but this will probably be something that I will forever be grateful for this experience. But yeah, there were 700 girls and only 10 were chosen.
The Girls Leading Change Honor is a way to celebrate young women leaders selected by the White House Gender Policy Council and the First Lady. She is the first girl recognized for this distinction from New Mexico, and she was able to meet someone she wasn't expecting, President Joe Biden.
I think it's a very surreal moment to meet with people who you see on TV all the time and people who you see in such high positions.
Anderson says she was inspired to create this book to show the South Valley in a different light and hopes her story inspires kids around her that they can also make a change.
But being able to come out of New Mexico and into the White House and tell them about the work that we're doing and about the stories that we are telling is honestly, it's an incredible feeling.
Her parents proud of the person she's becoming.
She is an amazing representative of New Mexico and of the South Valley and of Albuquerque, and it brought tears really to your heart, like that sort of pride.
I think we're still in shock.
You'll be the change you want to see.
Gabe Chavez, KRQE, News 13.
Anderson says her next journey is to take her work on a moving museum to reservation schools and youth detention centers. Well, you used to be able to find them in rivers across New Mexico, but for years they've been mostly absent. Now the state says restoration efforts are helping otters make a comeback in the land of enchantment. News 13's Marilyn Upchurch shows us how.
They're native to our state's rivers, but chances are you've never seen a wild river otter in New Mexico.
Like many species, they were eventually extirpated from their native range in New Mexico, likely as a result of over-harvesting.
Although they don't know just how many were here, the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish says in the early 1900s, most of the state's river otters were lost due to unregulated trapping and habitat loss.
In 2008 to 2010, the department released 33 otters, and those reintroduction efforts took otters from Washington and brought them into the upper Rio Grande.
A 2018 study showed the population grew from 33 to 100 river otters statewide. More recently, the department released 9 otters from Louisiana, which they hope will bring genetic diversity to the current population and help the species make a comeback.
They really kind of provide that ecosystem service of being a top predator, and to have them back on the landscape after being gone for so long, it's really just bringing back kind of that native part of the landscape.
Now, after those restoration efforts with the Department of Game and Fish and other agencies, researchers say the weasel's territory is growing. There have been sightings in waterways around Taos, Angel Fire, Corrales, Pilar, and more.
It's good to just kind of have this the species back doing kind of the role that it's always played in our rivers and lakes.
Marilyn Upchurch, KRQE, News 13.
The New Mexico Department of Game and Fish is asking the public to send them pictures and video if you see an otter out in the wild. The department is considering releasing more otters next year. Well, more good news is on the way. When we come back, we take a look at the new technology that's making a difference around the world and the New Mexico high school students making it happen. Welcome back to the KRQE Good News Special. I'm Annalisa Pardo. While there is no cure yet for Parkinson's disease, advancements in treatment have provided patients with some relief to the symptoms. And as KRQE's Chad Brummett discovered for our series New Mexico Frontiers, students in northern New Mexico are tackling treatment inspired by research at Stanford University.
It's a big day for Santa Fe resident Eduardo Zambrano.
Look who's here!
He's here at Northern New Mexico College waiting for a potentially life-changing technology.
Team is ready for you, man.
Developed by the most unlikely of engineers.
I was walking into my physical therapy room and I was bent over my head was almost touching the ground. I was bent over at the waist and the physical therapist said, "Ed, look at you, you look like an old man." And I looked at myself and my head was almost touching the ground.
Eduardo was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease about 10 years ago. As he says, it began to present itself with a stooped posture and rigid muscles, just two of the numerous symptoms caused by the disease.
A common cold has 3 symptoms: fever, runny nose, aches and pains. Parkinson's is 22.
Those include changes in speech and writing, difficulty in blinking, smiling, or walking, as well as slowed movement and one of the most common symptoms, tremors.
Parkinson's is a disease of the brain. Cells that deliver dopamine to motor control circuits have died, and the motor control circuits are now in kind of free reign.
Dr. Steve Cox is an associate professor of engineering at the college who has worked closely with faculty at Espanola Valley High School and students with their MESA program. About a year and a half ago, a colleague whose husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's came to Dr. Cox with a question after seeing a story on the Today Show about an experimental glove developed at Stanford University.
He said, "Steve, do you think you and your students could hack this glove? Could you build one of these things?" And so we accepted that as a challenge.
Since then, students from Espanola Valley High have been working side by side with undergraduate students in engineering, some of whom have had internships at Los Alamos National Labs.
Getting the experience to go to different places, meet different people, especially like Ed, seeing how like energetic and hopeful he is, it's really cool.
How does it feel?
It feels good. It's a good fit.
Their work today is to fit Eduardo with their version of the Parkinson's glove, a wearable device that delivers random, low-level vibrations to the fingertips, which, according to research being done at Stanford, can alleviate some symptoms of the disease.
Delivering a non-standard pattern of stimulus to the person. It could be through the eyes, could be through the nose, could be through the ears. It just happens that the fingertips are kind of a natural way. There's a lot of sensation here. And so basically, we're just sending messages to the brain through the fingertips.
Now, according to Dr. Cox, he has no aspirations of opening his own company or trying to take the glove to clinical trials. He's more interested in developing the minds of these young engineers so that hopefully one day they may be able to find a cure for Parkinson's.
But not just learning for the sake of learning. It's not just part of their high school or college training. They're actually solving problems and helping the community.
The Steady Hands program is linking the older generation with the younger and giving the younger generation an investment in their elders. A fact not lost on students like Chelsea, a senior at Espanola Valley High.
We had another client before, and I just remember he started crying. And that almost made me cry. I'm a little bit sentimental sometimes, but I just thought it was really awesome how such a small thing, it just impacts somebody so greatly.
How does it feel? You have good contact?
It's good contact.
After dozens of prototypes soldered and stitched together with care,
Much better.
Eduardo has his new set of gloves.
Can you use the wheelchair?
And hopefully a newfound, albeit temporary relief from the debilitating disease.
It means a lot that they are interested enough in my plight that they're willing to go through this, coming here in their spare time, I'm sure, and doing this, trying it. I'm thrilled. If I can even get rid of one of the symptoms, it'd be great.
Steady Hands has gone on to win numerous awards for their work, including one of the coveted Governor's STEM Challenge Awards earlier this year. A Santa Fe woman has made it her mission to bring smiles to Navajo kids through skateboarding. Amy Danette Deal and her organization, For Kinship, is handing out 5,000 free skateboards to youth on the Navajo Nation. Up next on the KRQE Good News Special, how one New Mexico woman has taken personal fitness to the next level. See you when we come back. Welcome back to KRQE's Good News Special, where we've been taking a stroll through some of the best feel-good stories from 2024. Well, Disneyland, meeting your favorite singer, or swimming with dolphins, those are typical Make-A-Wish trips. But not for one Albuquerque girl whose dream centers around a game show. Earlier this year, KRQE's Jessica Garate got an inside look at her wish coming true.
She was a micro preemie. She was just under a pound when she was born.
Phoebe has a long list of health issues. She's had 3 open heart surgeries, has a pacemaker, and is legally blind, which means she has spent a lot of time in hospitals.
Which would have been her 4th surgery at that point. And a lot of complications following that surgery. So we ended up, we were in the hospital for another 6 months.
But there was something playing in the background that always lifted her spirit.
Your brand new Porsche!
The popular game show, The Price is Right.
Whether you are at home, well or sick, or in the hospital, like Price is Right is always on. It's always there.
Now 8 years old, Phoebe loves the people on Price is Right and feels connected to them.
Her obsession with The Price is Right probably mostly has to do with the fact that it is positive and joyful, and
she can cheer for
she loves to cheer.
So Make-A-Wish teamed up with Holman's USA, a New Mexico tech company, to create the game show here. Complete with her favorite games from the show.
All right, you're at 75.
And a full audience.
High five, girlfriend.
Yeah! Plus plenty of prizes, with the top prize, a special announcement.
Do you recognize this voice by any chance? I'll give you a hint. It's George Gray, the announcer for The Price is Right. Are you ready for a really fun surprise? All right, here we go. Phoebe, come on down!
Holman's is helping pay to send Phoebe and her family to California for a taping of The Price is Right.
Thanks for letting me play, Dad.
A little girl who said thank you after every gift. And where workers prove the price is always right and the crowd is always cheering you on. Holman, CEO and president.
When I saw the look in the crowd, a lot of them were crying. And I know it has a major impact. It had a major impact on me.
Phoebe's favorite is a Christmas episode from 2022. Her favorite contestant is a random woman named Shannon Pfeiffer. She even makes her parents reenact that episode. After months of qualifying rounds and a worldwide competition, an Albuquerque woman is now officially the fittest woman in the world for her age group. I got the chance to catch up with Carly Newlands at her local gym back in September. Let's take a look at her story.
When she's not at her 9-to-5 as a marketing director, you can find Carly Newlands here, coaching or training at Bear Canyon CrossFit.
CrossFit's always just brought me such joy and excitement and really, set my heart on fire.
So much so that she worked her way to get to compete in the 2024 Masters CrossFit Games last weekend.
I like to tell people it's like the Super Bowl of CrossFit.
And she did pretty well.
I ended up placing first in the overall competition.
That's right. Carly is now considered the fittest woman in the world for women ages 40 to 44.
And I was hoping for a top 10 finish, so it was beyond my wildest dreams to come in first, but it feels pretty good.
Beating out 39 other qualifying contestants in 10 workouts over the course of 4 days.
I didn't win any of them. I didn't suck at any of them either. I just tried to stay consistent, and it was in my favor. It was cool to represent the 505 and an event like that.
And the 505 welcomed their champion home, surprising her at the Sunport, making her win that much sweeter.
I don't cry often, but they did it.
Committed to her craft.
I'm not special. I was never special, but with a little hard work and consistency, you really can do anything.
And inspiring others along the way.
Hardest part is walking in the front door, and I say that and I mean it. I think sometimes the hardest part is walking to somewhere new, but take that chance, take the risk, and it will pay dividends.
As for what's next for Carly, well, she's already planning to grab next year's title.
And see how it is round 2 and see what I can do and I'm curious to see what I'm capable of.
Annalisa Pardo, KRQE, News 13.
For her big win, Carly received a medal and will be getting a cash prize. Well, still ahead, you guessed it, more good news. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Good News Special, highlighting some of the most heartwarming and uplifting stories from across our state in 2024. Well, if there's one thing New Mexico is known for, it's for our big open skies. And for several dozen kids earlier this year, they got a chance to go up in the air to learn more about what all goes into flying a plane. News 13's Chandler Farnsworth has this good news story from March.
For some, it was their first time flying in a private plane.
It was fun to see how whenever we did that sort of movement, it was really cool.
And for others, a chance to experience it all over again.
I just had a good time.
It's part of the Experimental Aviation Association's Young Eagles Flight Program, an all-volunteer group, and is held at the Double Eagle Airport in West Albuquerque. Officials say it's a way to teach kids about aviation and maybe get them interested in various careers in flight, an industry that has seen a shortage in staff over the last few years.
We expose them to the actual industry itself. Not all kids want to be a pilot. Some of them want to be air traffic control. Some of them want to be mechanics.
Started back in 1992, the flight program has given free airplane rides to millions of children across the country. The association also provides classes and scholarships to kids interested in getting their private pilot's license. Mia, a volunteer at the event today, received one of these scholarships through the program not too long ago.
You're such a small part of someone's big journey. Traveling isn't a tiny thing. You're, connecting a lot of loved ones, family, taking people on new adventures.
She's now working to become a pilot for Southwest. Another volunteer, Gabriel Carruthers, says he's been training to fly planes since he was just 8 years old and is very familiar with the program. Now, he's already got his private pilot's license at 18.
Above everyone, the world's quiet, and it's just you and your airplane having a good time flying wherever you want to fly to.
Each flight took about 20 minutes, with some kids even getting the opportunity to fly the plane, with supervision, of course.
You can't take the grins off their face.
The program is completely free but requires registration to participate. However, officials say some guests may be put on a waiting list due to the high demand. Chandler Farnsworth, KRQE News 13.
If you missed this year's event, don't worry. The Albuquerque chapter of EAA has plenty of events. You can check out their calendar for 2025 if you're interested in getting involved. In June of this year, the South Fork and Salt fires devastated the Ruidoso area, forcing many New Mexicans to flee their homes. And I know we're talking about good news here, but sometimes in the most tragic of circumstances is where we find hope. And that's what I found chatting with one family in Alto who welcomed a new baby during it all. The Sandy family shared with me their harrowing story, which they count as a happy ending. Take a look. Like most of the Alto community, Joshua and Lena Sandy started noticing wildfire smoke on Monday.
And at 3 o'clock, smoke was wild.
But the stress level really ramped up when 9 months pregnant Lena started feeling contractions closer and closer together.
So I whispered to him and I was like, I think this baby's coming sooner than later.
They checked into the hospital in Ruidoso. Little did they know this stay wouldn't be long.
They're like, yeah, there's an evacuation for the hospital.
As fast as the flames spread, so did the questions of what to do next.
Are we actually getting the ambulance? Do we leave now? Bumper to bumper traffic all the way to Roswell, get there in maybe 4 hours.
I hope I don't have the baby in the ambulance. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, this is really a movie kind of scene,
Their daughter with her grandparents, Joshua drove to Roswell.
Stressed out more, driving alone for 2 hours to see my wife that might be having a baby right now. I don't know because there was no cell phone reception.
While Lena took an ambulance straight to Eastern New Mexico Medical Center.
But the paramedic was super sweet. She just made conversation with me the entire time and just made it a good experience in an ambulance, as weird as that sounds.
The next day, all 6 pounds and 4 ounces of baby Hayden came right on time.
He gets a little feisty sometimes.
Give him a kiss on the forehead.
Yeah.
Unsure of when they'll get to bring him home or if he'll even still be standing when they do.
We just kind of take it day by day and just see what happens. We're staying hopeful and we'll see.
Lena and Joshua are just grateful their family of 4 is all here.
He looks just the same as our daughter.
Yeah.
They look identical.
I wouldn't change the experience. It was a good experience for sure. The nurses and everyone were very helpful throughout the whole process.
Annalisa Pardo, KRQE.
He's a cuddler for sure.
News 13.
Well, thanks so much for joining us for this Good News Special for 2024. From all of us here at KRQE, we want to wish you and your family a wonderful holiday and a Happy New Year.